So this video is a bit of a shock for myself. I don't know if I'm trying to not cry or not, but I'm not gonna publish it before the 1st of January because obviously it involves a lot of person and a lot of situation, and there's nothing we can do about it. But just to sum it up, I just got fired from a big company, and I just got the new I need still to sign the termination of a contract. It has nothing to do with me, it's redundancy, but I will not name the company for whom I've been working for, but for the people who knows me, then you know who I used to work for. So I'm just gonna explain the whole story and do it in many parts and it's just, I think it's crazy when, you are 29 and you've already been through the firing process. Was my first job as a flight attendant when I was 21. 22. And it's not the first time, but every time it happens and you get the news, you're always like a bit shocked. And I think that in my part, I'm very shocked because I was working in another property. So just so you know, you guys, I think you know it, but I work for the golf industry, and it has to do nothing with my current companies. It's a contractor and operator decision. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, I'm still fired. I just got the news this morning at 9:45. I knew somehow that there was this whole situation of there's some discussion talking about, and and all of these things of being blurry about a project, and pre-opening can be somehow a bit tricky, but again, I'm not going to name any company because I don't want to get in trouble. So at the end of the day, it was somehow to be expected. But yeah, it's still a hard pill to swallow, if I'm being honest with you, because, just a week ago, I was sent on a task force in another country in Morocco, and, they were somehow praising me, my work and everything, and then, boom, you just get this whole news of you being laid out. And it just makes sense because I must have the country. And, for them, it just didn't make any sense to be like, oh, she's outside the country, so just terminate her contract because we're going to terminate everybody else's contract at the same time. And I'm at a point where that's why I didn't post the video on the same day, because today we're December 18th, 2024. 1 week before Christmas, and I don't want that my friends or colleagues get alerted, because they're gonna know anyway in January, and this is not a me job to tell them that they're gonna be laid out. It's their manager's job, and I'm not. So I'm not gonna take this on me and being like, hey, just so you know, you're gonna be fired just like me. Because it's not fair. It's not fair for me to come and to be like bringing on the bad news, because it's already a hard pill to swallow for me. I'm sorry, I'm doing my makeup too, because I need to work still today. But if I'm being honest with you, I just don't know how to find the motivation. I know that by the end of this year, December 31st, I will no longer have a job. So if I'm being honest with you, this part is not, I would say, as difficult to accept, compared to that if I was in my 20s, early 20s, because, I've been doing a lot of jobs, and I'm someone who moves a lot and who is not really scared of tomorrow, but when you invest your time and effort in a company, it's still hurting, and I remember how I felt where we were in a team call, and I wanted to say something, but I couldn't say, and I just, being the grown-up person, and Daniel said, like, it's logic, they don't want, they get rid of me, because obviously I'm not here anymore. But in the end, you still feel like, so all the work I've done was for nothing. And I think this makes it hard, because if I was like not a person who cared about her work, who didn't have principles or values or ethics or whatsoever, then it would have been like, oh, I don't care. But because I'm a person who does work a lot, who gives 100% into whatever she's doing, it still hurts, because it's investments, it's time, and you're just like, what did I do all of that for? It just doesn't make sense, right? And so it's tough. I just had to take a shower to be like, okay, it's right there, I'm late. And I had to eat something. I had a cupcake, so I ate the cupcake of memories, and I just don't feel like talking to anyone, but I have a handover to do this afternoon. I have to do a training, so I'm still working, and I think the hardest for me today would be to not show that I'm impacted, even if I don't want to be impacted by the decision. And if I'm being honest with you, I was actually thinking of probably leaving if I found something else, because I knew somehow that it was not really meant for me. Like, not the job itself, I knew I could do well, but I knew that this type of job was not what I want. Because if you know me, and if you follow me on YouTube, I want to become a pro golfer. And that's why I work in the golf industry, is because I was like, oh, if I work in the golf industry, then I can train, which is clearly not the fact. The higher the position you have, the higher responsibilities you have, the less time you'll have to train, and even more if you don't have a car, and if you don't have access to the golf course all the time. And me, as right now acting as a director of sales and marketing of the golf club, and I was the head of reservation in another position of golf and sports, I was pretty much busy, and I knew that this year was like a good year to save up money, but I knew that if I kept going like this and kept keeping my position, I would not be able to do what I want to do. And as a 29 years old, if you don't take actions, then you're just going to wait forever and just being like all the other people working a 9 to 5 and sitting all day at your desk answering emails, which is really not me. I can do it, but I don't like to do it. So it's a blessing in a disguise, I'd say. There's nothing I can do about it. I can only accept it and move on from this. But, I think I'm not the worst in this case scenario, because I'm not the type of person who will just stay in the moment and do nothing. So what is good is like I'm achieving my goal of, staying at least getting a salary until February. So I'm getting from the redundancy termination contract, I get this month's salary and 2 more months salary plus my days of holidays I didn't take. So I made the right call, because everybody was like, Dee, you should take your holidays. And I was like, well, if I don't know what's going to happen to me, I'm clearly not going to take my holidays, because it just doesn't make sense to me, knowing full well that something is coming up and that I'll be on holidays. And then when I come back, oh, sorry, you're fired. No, that was really not my intention to be doing that. So, which is kind of crazy, because the work where I am currently has asked me if I wanted to stay, and I said, no, I want to go back to